If you're a new agent or if you're a part-time agent, these aren't just the mindsets. This is the blueprint. Take it, go out, make these videos, make yourself a community figure and establish a long-term goal to be able to build that brand awareness and that market credibility. And you're going to crush it.
Hey, I'm Brad McCallum out of Calgary, Alberta.
And I'm Bob Tompkins out of Anderson, South Carolina. And this is the Bob and Brad Show.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on the Bob and Brad Show. And today we've got a great episode for you. We're going to be talking about why now is the time to start in real estate. So whether you're following us on Facebook, watching us on YouTube, you can also now follow us on your favorite podcast player, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And if we're not on the podcast player you use, just send us a quick message. We'll make sure we get on there. And guys, listen, I think, Bob, what we are going to be talking about today is sort of a tough subject for a lot of people because right now we're smack dab in the middle of this COVID thing. Some people are starting to see a little bit of a return back in their market. There's talk about the economy opening up again. What does this mean for those agents that are brand new to the business? Or maybe those agents that have been part-timing it for a while? Obviously, all of us are hoping to have a successful year. Many of us may not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough time. I was recently having a conversation with another agent in my office.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about how tough things are for him, that, the business hasn't really gone anywhere this year because of where COVID-19's put him, and he's relatively new to the business. And people are kind of, they're panicked a little bit because, maybe they've seen business fall off. They're seeing friends in the business jump ship. So the question is, for those newer agents and those agents that are part-time, is now the time to bail? And I think we're going to kind of lead you in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Telling you that now's the time to go all in.
Absolutely. In fact, I would say there's a good argument to be made on why now could actually be the very, very best time to start. And so to give you a little bit of context for why I think that, it's because in my market right now, with any sort of drawback, anytime there's been a recession or something that's really hit the economy like this COVID thing, a good chunk of the agents in our marketplace actually fall out of the business. So that's like 30, 40% less competition out there. But that also means that if you're an agent, I don't like those odds of like being like, hey, 30, 40% chance that I'm going to fall out of the business. So obviously what we're going to talk about today is how you do not have to worry about that if you do a couple of key things right, especially at this time.
Absolutely. And then the side for me, when it comes to part-time agents,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that consumers are going to continue to use part-time agents, especially in a time where there's economic turmoil and people are going to want to jump out. People are not going to want to use somebody that is a part-time agent that doesn't really do this all the time. I mean, I know personally I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to use somebody that only sells 2 or 3 houses a year when, things are uncertain. You really need a professional. You need somebody that knows their marketplace extremely well. And I think the consumers are going to see that, and they're just going to, gravitate towards these, full-time, high-producing agents.
And I mean, that's the way we always see every downturn. What happens is a lot of the agents are the people who have the ability to keep marketing and who have like the great systems in place. Oftentimes this becomes a real land grab for them. Just like there's a consolidation across the economy with big companies. They see opportunities in these smaller companies that can't meet their payroll, can't keep their cash flow going. So they end up selling out to these larger companies that have more bankroll. But a lot of us, like I don't have a big team. I'm a newer agent. So I'm not one of these guys who have 30, 40 agents to shed away before it starts to impact my own personal income. So when I'm looking at what 2020 is meaning for me, I find it as being more opportunistic. So what I mean by that is I think I'm only getting the opportunities I've gotten the last few years because I've been in a really tough economy. So now I know the United States, the market's been different down there. You guys have had 4 years of amazing price appreciation. You guys still have low inventory, which is one of the reasons why I think you guys are in a really great position to weather the other side of this storm. Like, you're not super high inventory, all that. So where we are in Calgary, I've had a couple of years of a bad economy, but because of that, people have been looking for more solutions for how do I sell my house? How do I get better exposure? How do I market? And that's been the opportunity for a new agent like me to come in and take market share from bigger agents that are doing less.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of the opposite for me. I live in one of the hottest markets in the U.S., Greenville, South Carolina, being one of these kind of economic boom cities that's seeing a ton of growth.
Everything's coming up, Bob, though, hey? Like, everything's coming up, Bob, lately.
Yeah. But you put in the work. But like, I mean, my town's great. So like, a lot of people have been moving here, but what that has seen is a ton of people try and get into the real estate business.
Of course, yeah.
And now you have something like COVID happen that throws a complete wrench into it. Yeah. And the question is, for a lot of these new agents, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of these people that got in because the market was great. Yeah. You know, I've been in the business almost 4 years, but I'm still relatively green to it. There's a ton of people that have come in with me and after me that see this and they're like, okay, well, what do I do now? You know, I haven't had time to establish myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I go back to my last career. Yeah. You know, what do I do? And I think that what we're going to talk about here, talking about solutions to how do you go from part-time to full-time? How do you stay in the business right now? Are very important for people to, you know, pay attention to, put these things into their business, because I think you've seen this and I've seen this since COVID has started. Neither one of us have really slowed down.
No.
And if anything, I think both of us have actually kind of sped up, and that's, you know, kind of counter to what everybody else is seeing in the market, because a lot of people are seeing like, oh man, you know, I've had deals fall through. I've got listings that want to pull out. I don't know what's going on, but we're not dealing with that.
I don't want to just get ahead because I worked 10 hours when the rest of the competition worked 9, or I worked 12 hours when the next hungriest guy worked 11, because you run out of hours and you still got a life and you still got family, you still got friends. And this is meant to service our life. So I look at a time like this as being an opportunity to not just build a better business and still keep the hours coming in, but also to work on better systems and a better brand. And that's a big theme in our show, is talking about how we can build brands through video marketing. But my investment into that is because I believe, even if I'm going to do a few less deals right now, I'm not going to work any less harder, because that extra work that's going to pay dividends. Maybe it takes a little bit longer because of COVID or because of our local economy, but still we're getting opportunities every day because we're the ones showing up. I get messages from other agents in my city saying, you got like more energy than anyone else. Like, you're super enthusiastic. We love the positivity. People are hungering for that right now, right? They want to know that the world is going to be somewhat okay. Things are going to be okay again. They're going to be the same. There's reasons to be optimistic. And if you're a brand new agent, you don't, and like, this is your day one, is tomorrow morning, you don't get to go back to when it was pre-COVID.
Right.
Like, and like, all of us don't, you know. I spent a good part of my 20s, my wife and I, looking at a couple of friends that bought a couple of years before us, right before the homes jumped up in our area. And we were like, man, they were lucky. They were lucky. We were like, you know, we were young and foolish and being like, oh, they took chances. And imagine if we had just been. The problem is that mentality will follow you your entire life. There are people that in your market, in every housing market across Canada right now, or the United States, in the comments section of every news article that talks about new sky highs for real estate, I'll pick up a house, when prices drop 30%. The reality is they won't then, because if you have that mentality, you're just gonna lose, because the only thing you have control of is what you do. It's the only thing you can focus is focus on the work that you can do today.
Right. And one thing that I love to pull on sports analogies, and you've got the whole Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, that's out on ESPN right now that everybody's tuning into. And the episodes that just came out showed Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, those two guys going back and forth. And Kobe Bryant, I think, is a great example for agents now when you're looking at like, man, I can't press forward. Kobe, notoriously known for being one of the hardest workers in basketball history. He would show up to the gym before anybody else. He would leave before anybody else. Yes. People who trained with him said his off seasons were ridiculous, that he paid more attention to basketball in the off season than he did during the season. And the thing that you can key in there is, as real estate agents, our on season it's a lot of the time when it's a good market, hot market, things are going well. And honestly, I mean, we're normally in a better market than we are in a bad market. 80-90% of years are better years than they are bad.
Sure.
So as agents, we're technically in our on season a lot. Things are good. We can focus. We can play ball. We can just go out on the court and play ball. But our off seasons, when they come in the form of recessions. They come in the form of a pandemic. The last one of these we had was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But, if a pandemic happens every 100 years, a recession happens every 20, those things are going to happen. And when they happen, are you going to work harder? Are you going to develop your craft so that when it's the on season again, you're better than everybody else?
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant was great at that in basketball. And as real estate agents, we need to watch that, see that example, and that's what we have to learn to apply to our own business.
So then let's start talking about some actionable steps. If you're a brand new agent right now, the very best thing that you can do, I think, is try to make decisions based around what will pay off in the long run. Now, that's a luxury. Like, as you get older, as you get longer in the business, as you get more connections, you can spend more parts of your day solving problems for your future self. And I actually noticed that was something that really changed for my family and I, was when I stopped having to make decisions that were based upon the money I needed today was the money I needed to solve today's problems. And oftentimes, if you put yourself in that situation, you will sell yourself for a lot less than you would 6 months from now, right? So if you can work today on a goal or an opportunity, or your brand, or you're creating content that's going to start generating leads for you down the road, you're not going to sell yourself as cheap. So for agents right now, I would say, like, there's some practical steps. If you're brand new, first thing you got to do is dispel yourself of the belief that an agent has a professional image that they need to uphold. Don't go get the new car payment. Keep control your costs. As you've watched Bob and as you look at other successful agents, you'll realize ones that are most successful are the ones that are publicly themselves the most. And the only reason I know who Bob is because Bob puts himself out there 3-4 times a week. The only reason I know who these agents are, these celebrities, these people that become like celebrities, is because they put themselves out there so much that you feel like you know them. You can do that without the $500, $600, $700 a month car payment. You can do that without, the fancy suits and the clothes and all that stuff. I would say, at a practical level, you got to watch your expenses right now.
And Brad's not just telling you guys that. Like, Brad lives this. He drives a Subaru. This isn't a
Volvo.
Volvo. Sorry, it looks like a Subaru.
Yeah. No. So I drive a $9,500 Volvo and a 2007 Toyota Tundra, and you know what? Like, it does not matter to me. I like to travel. I like a nice house. Cars, not a big car guy. But the reality is, though, is that right now I'm thinking, $500, $600, $700, $800 on a new car payment, or I create some content and I can put that out, and 70, 80, 100,000 people in my marketplace can build their know, like, and trust in me. So for me right now, this is where, if you're going to be investing into something, like, don't invest in your image, invest in your online presence.
Well, and I think where there has to be a mindset shift for a lot of people that maybe are watching this show, because the thought process so much in real estate or any job is the next paycheck, the next commission check. When am I going to get that check so I can pay my bills? You can't be focused on the short term and survive these sort of, market disruptions. You have to be focused long term in order to make the correct decisions to build your brand and to build your influence. A lot of people give me a hard time when it comes to these videos. I'm sure you get this a lot too, which is so I see you're putting out a lot of these videos. How many deals did you get off of that video?
Yeah, a lot of that.
Honestly, we put out the Bob and Brad show, and I can't tell you that I've gotten a single deal off of it yet, because that's not the point. The point is not the next commission check. The point is the commission checks 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Because there's a brand that has built that know, like, and trust over a period of time to where I've then been considered an expert. You've become an expert. And then people trust us above everyone else in the industry because there's been consistent video marketing hitting them in the face week after week after week after week. You have to be able to focus on those long-term objectives in order to really run your business the right way and not just seek after that next commission check. Because, if that's what's important to you, go ahead and get on the phone with Zillow.
Yeah.
Pay them $1,000 a month. Get a few deals. But the moment you stop paying Zillow, you're going to stop getting deals.
Like, that's the reality is that if you're going to become a real estate agent, whether it's a good market, a bad market, a recession or not, is it 83% of agents are out of the, or 90%?
Right about that. It's mid 80s.
So mid 80s, 5 years from now, your chance of failure in this business is 85%. Like, that's it. So there's never a guaranteed, even in a good market, you're a brand new agent, you're still 3, 4, 5 months away from your first paycheck a lot of times. So you got to think about longevity. And there is no better time when they're saying, okay, no to open houses, and it's not socially acceptable to be door knocking. Now could not be a better opportunity to start, because you've got time, you've got the old models that are so easy to fall back on as a brand new agent that are no longer open to you, but you almost definitely have a smartphone. You have the access to YouTube, it's free. You have the access to Facebook, it's free. Instagram. You can build a brand and a business over the next 3 months, and you'll be able to build one in a market when everyone else is shedding their advertising dollars. They're not willing to put in the effort to learn some basic editing software, or they're just getting out of the industry because they feel like there's not enough deals. So now is the best time to all of a sudden have this foundation of 3, 4, 5 months of content and the habit of weekly creation that will pay off. And it will also, for me, I don't know about you, Bob, but one payoff of creating content and building that brand messaging, it's like going to the gym and working a muscle. Just the act of doing it, it's going to satisfy that flight or fight mechanism in your mind that says, well, I'm not doing anything. because boy, even
Right.
if you've got no deals to do this week and you're like, man, I got to edit that market update. I've got to do that community thing. I've got to focus on that one business that's doing that cool thing during COVID. Like, you've got stuff to do. And so it gives you that little bit of space that you need from just the fear of the phone not ringing, the emails not coming in. It gives you something to focus on that guys like Bob and I have built businesses on.
Exactly. And that's a huge point, because for so many people, when they hit this point in their business, they're seeing all this money go out to their billboards, to their Zillow leads, to whatever. And now they've got to cut those back because they don't feel like they're getting business off of them. So they dial those way back, and then their phone stops ringing because there's no more leads. There's no more ads. And they're sitting around their house twiddling their thumbs, and they begin to panic.
Yeah.
For me and you, I think a big reason why the pandemic hasn't exactly affected our business models nearly as much is we still have to get up and create.
Yeah.
And there's still that baseline of work that's there no matter what. And I feel like I'm still productive. I still feel like I'm still building my business, even if the phone doesn't ring for 7 days, which in essence creates more phone calls, because while everybody else is dialing back their advertising, I'm remaining consistent. You're remaining consistent, and people are seeing more of us and less of everybody else.
And Bob, let's bring this up. We were going to film this Friday morning, and both of us were crazy busy. We were going to then film it Saturday morning, and we were crazy busy, and you needed a day, right? So we said, Sunday morning, we're filming this. This is it. This is the time. This is the day, the moment that I would have said, Bob, let's take a week. Let's just take a week. Like, who knows? Maybe people have had enough of us. They've seen us 6 weeks in a row. Maybe our last episode didn't get as much viewers as the episode before that, which, I mean, come on, there was Sharon 2 weeks back. So I get it. I get it. But that's the point, though. Now would have been a great time to say, you know what? Let's just take a week off. It's not easy. It's not. But boy, if you want to make it, it's like, you have to do the work. So if let's talk about the part-time agent, Bob, because that I think they're the ones more at risk, I think, than any other agent out there.
Yeah, I mean, the part-time agent, they're looking at this, and I'm putting myself kind of back when I was a part-time agent, putting myself in that same mindset. I was a bartender. I was making some money. Just a little, I was making enough to pay bills, and I was selling real estate on the side. And if something like this had happened then, I honestly don't know what I would have done, because I would have gotten out. I would have gotten, fired from my bartending job because they would have shut down restaurants. Yeah. And I would have panicked on what to do here. That's probably move back in with your parents moment. Yeah. So I understand, like, from the part-time agents, mindset, it's scary. It's scary to think about where you're at. However, the opportunity to grab market share and to establish yourself has never been more real. You probably would have had a tougher time as a part-time agent trying to break in amongst thousands of agents and set yourself apart than you do right now. Yeah. Because people who are considering retirement are retiring. Yeah. Other part-time agents are bailing. People who are losing business out the wazoo are gone. Mm-hmm. So, all these people are leaving the business, and now you have an opportunity to come out here and establish yourself as someone who didn't even depend on this as a primary source of income anyways, because you're just a part-time agent, and you set yourself as like, okay, right now, continue to be a part-time agent with full-time agency as the objective. And instead of trying to make phone calls for 10 hours a week to get leads to try and have, 1 or 2 closings every couple of months, start making content that sets you as a long-term, staple in your community. Then you're going to be able to transition to full-time way easier than anybody else, because you begin to set this base that, if you put 10 hours in a week and then you spend the other 10 as a part-time agent showing houses, I mean, you're going to see a much better return over time than anything else that you're doing.
I think people really underestimate how quickly they can become an authority in their marketplace. I think they assume, especially if you're a new agent, you might feel like an imposter. Like, who am I? I've never helped someone buy or sell a home yet, or only once, or it was just my sister. Like, you look at all this and you think, I don't like, I'm in no spot to advise. But the reality is like, we consume so much content. No one's doing the work to check and see if you're even know your stuff. Like, no one does it. Like, what's the most important thing on a car? It's the brakes. Like, the brakes are that's the thing that if that stops working, you're going to die.
Yeah, I guess.
You're going to die.
Yeah.
Right? Like, motor, hey, doesn't get start, you don't risk your family. Your brakes fail, fine. But guess what? I'll go watch a guy show me how to like change the brake pads on a 2009 Volvo, but I don't after Google his name and his YouTube channel to see if he's a mechanic. Like, right. I don't. I'm like, well, I don't know. That guy, he knew what he was doing, or it looked like it. He made a video about it. He put it online. It's got 50,000 views. This must be great content. This must be valuable. So it's the exact same thing with an agent. Like, if you don't have a listing, go film a listing for someone. If you are into beer, go drink a beer with the owner of a pub. Yep. Whatever it is, there's content that you could be making right now that would get you in front of people who buy and sell homes. That's it.
Yep. And the thing is, when Brad says that it does not take long, he's not wrong at all. I've brought this up a few different times. I've been doing video for right at 15 months.
Mm-hmm.
Total. I was showing houses the other day.
Yeah.
I called the listing agent, said, hey, my people want to make an offer. She said, oh, you're that guy that makes all those videos. As I left another house showing houses, I ran into another agent walking in. I'd never met either one of these people. And she goes, oh, you're Bob. You make all those videos. Twice in one day, other agents knew who I was. Agents knew who I was. People who are watching for this sort of thing see me. They know my name. It doesn't take long. That's 15 months. In the grand scheme of things, building a business in 15 months is no time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for other people who are, industry leaders, they're affluent in my community to know who I am, the general public does too.
So, and that's the thing though. I mean, to build a business where you're known across North America, you're getting referrals, everyone in your market knows you. I mean, that's like, that may be the goal, but along the way, like 2-3 months in, you were starting to already get leads from it and the odd thing coming up. So it's like, the cool thing about this is that you can get leads and deals in the first 2-3 months. You can get lucky, you put something out and get a deal in the first couple of weeks, or at least some lead people to work with. Because as soon as you put out content, if you haven't been doing it before, everyone in your sphere is going to ask you about it. You're not going to have to ask them, hey, do you want to buy or sell a house? They're going to say like, hey, we go to that restaurant all the time. That's so cool that you had a chance to sit like that. Greg's really nice, right? Like you're having a conversation now about real estate that you didn't initiate. And that's worth 20 conversations that you did initiate.
So and what you're saying there is so right. People they think, it's going to take forever to really be known. Brad, you've been doing video for 2 years in real estate, real estate. I've been doing it for 15 months. We're both known nationally.
Yeah.
In 2 years and 15 months, you can be known locally in a much faster amount of time.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about a guy I really like who makes some fun content, Matt Leonetti. Does some really fun content. Guy makes me laugh, man. And he's another Canadian guy. But what's cool about Matt, I think I saw his first stuff maybe 3 to 4 months ago. It's only ever a minute long. It's like Instagram friendly. But here's the thing. I remember being Matt like a year ago when people first started noticing my videos. So like a good tip that I would say to anyone who's listening to this whether it's on a podcast or on YouTube, is go join us on Facebook, and then go follow some of the Facebook groups like RETV or Lab Coat Agents, Viral Video. I mean, these places are awesome resources for learning what other agents are doing. What's cool, the reason I brought up Matt is that in 3 or 4 months now, Matt's known internationally. He's known all across North America for fun and cool and exciting content. And what I would say to that is that if other agents are taking notice, you can guarantee your market is. Because ultimately this business is all about leads. And you pay for it in one way or another, either the sweat equity of building the content, or the money out of your pocket from your last deal to finance more Zillow leads and that other kind of stuff.
And that's what we're trying to do. And
Exactly.
That's what the video expedites it. Where those people had to go and sell houses for 20 years to establish this brand equity, to establish their namesake in their town. We're saying you can do it a lot faster with video, because you can get in front of people, you can build that know, like, and trust. And as Sharon said, by the time the phone rings, you don't have to sell them.
Yeah.
They've already been sold on you.
I've been talking about this book. I talked about it at the Dippity Deep Dive Conference. I talked about it when I spoke at R4 in Las Vegas. But it's called Talk Triggers. And the whole purpose of that book by Jay Baez is to expand your sphere of influence, because ultimately it's that sphere of influence is all you want to do. Like you don't want to cold market to some person who doesn't care about you, doesn't know you. What you do want, though, is that sphere of influence to expand. And the only way to get that to expand, you can't do that with Zillow leads. You just can't do that with even just your face on a bus bench or typical real estate advertising. You need to expand that sphere of influence. And the only way to do that sphere of influence expansion is by doing something that's super noteworthy, that breaks through the noise, that breaks through the convention. That's why you, with some of those incredible parody videos, broke through the noise. That's why you, with your weekly stuff that focuses on businesses and beers, and that shows you that you're just like your client, that your client thinks, man, I'd like to go, I'd go sit down and have a beer with Bob. I could do a deal with that guy. That'd be fun. And that's something that you can do without investing in advertisement or leads. That's something you can do right at this moment in time, just with your cell phone. And when you first make some of that money, you start to make some of those deals coming in, invest in your skills, invest in your personal growth when it comes to creating content. The amount of respect that people will have for you for having the courage to put yourself out there is unbelievable.
Yep. So if you're a new agent or if you're a part-time agent, these aren't just the mindsets. This is the blueprint. Take it. Go out. Make these videos. Make yourself a community figure and establish a long-term goal to be able to build that brand awareness and that market credibility. And you're going to crush it. You're going to crush it. And guys, like Brad said, get in these groups on Facebook. Follow the good video creators on YouTube and pay attention to what they're doing. Pull from those ideas and make some killer content. You'll be shocked where you are in just 4 to 6 months.
That's right. Now's the time. Now's the time more than anything ever before. Put in the work. Like you want more, you're gonna have to do more. That's what an opportunity like this is. Although that opportunity to take more of your market than you ever thought possible in a good market only exists because of COVID right now.
Yeah. And I'm there 100%. And it's one of those things that I think once COVID started, it took me a little bit to recognize the type of opportunity it was, but realizing the position I was in, using video, what I could do to take control of my market. I mean, these opportunities come only every couple of decades. So don't miss the opportunity. And
it's not too late. It's not too late. Don't think that there's enough people out there, other people in your market. You've got your own unique voice, your own unique audience, and you'll find it, but only if you put that content out there. Bob, thanks so much, man. I love chatting with you every week, and thanks for pushing me to get to the table tonight and film this, because this is what it's about right now. Putting in the work, putting in the time.
I'm up past my bedtime right now, making sure we get this thing done. So,
Hey.
look, I'm committed to it. I appreciate you, my brother.
All right, guys. Well, we'll be back next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with another episode for you. We might even have a guest. So,
That's right.
once again, thanks for checking out the Bob and Brad Show. We'll see you next week.
See you next time.